Hey everyone, 619G2 here, ready for this video real quick. Today marked the beginning of the playoffs, the road to Super Bowl 46 Wildcard weekend. Today's date is January 7th, Saturday 2012, and we had two playoff games here today, an NFC battle and an AFC battle. The 3 and 6 seeds going off it against each other. Anyways, without further ado, let's just go through the recap of both games today. Alright, the first game, which was the 4 o'clock game, was the Cincinnati Bengals, the 6th seed, going to Houston to play the Texans, which was the 3rd seed, who also won the AFC South. Texans, first ever playoff game in franchise history. Houston is bringing back the playoffs. Alright, so here it is. Begin the game. First points on the board, Cincinnati ends up scoring on a Cedric Benson run. Cincinnati comes up, and midway through the first quarter, 7-0 over Houston. 3 minutes later, Houston gets the ball back, strikes back with the Arian Foster running for a touchdown worth of 8 yards. It's then tied up after the extra point, 7-7. That's your first quarter score. Second quarter, Bengals, here they are. They really, except for the running, which was not very pleasant either, the Bengals really did not have much of an offensive game. They didn't even throw for a touchdown pass in this game, and of course, Cedric was the only scoring touchdown on offense. Nugent ends up kicking a field goal for the Bengals, which led it up 10-7 for the Bengals, but that was the only points they could get, is 10 points overall, because then from there, it was all Houston Texans. A field goal with the minute 48 left by the Texans ends up giving a tied score, and then a minute later, J.J. Watt ends up picking off an Andy Dalton pass for 29 yards into the end zone for a touchdown. Houston, they're up 17-10 before the half. Alright, so third quarter, that's when it starts getting even more intense for Texans. They just start taking control from there. Andre Johnson picks up a 40-yard touchdown pass from T.J. Yates, the third-string quarterback. There it is, 24-10. Houston looks like they're going to be getting the first playoff win, and they do. Caps it off, though, in the fourth quarter with a Arian Foster run worth of 42 yards for a touchdown, which was on the side, which pretty much was tight-roping the whole entire sideline. Tackling was a major issue for the Bengals. Bengals really had a struggle all game. But yeah, the final score, Houston 31, and Cincinnati, they ended up finishing the game not so well. They didn't even play really well. It seemed like the team was collapsing. It was 31-10. It's the final score. Houston, they ended up going on to win the game, and they will be going to Baltimore next week from what I'm hearing. Stats, T.J. Yates starts for 159 yards and a touchdown, which was to, of course, Andre Johnson. And then Andy Dalton didn't have a good game. He did throw for 257 yards, but 3 picks and no touchdowns. They really shut down A.J. Green. It was just not such of a good game. Green only had 5 receptions for 47 yards. Andre Johnson, the leading receiver for the Texans, 5 receptions for 90 yards, and of course that touchdown. And then on the running game, except for Benson was the only one that got the touchdown. He only ran for 14 yards though. The running game was just not good. The whole entire offense was not good for Cincinnati. They just did not seem really good. I mean, both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And then Arian Foster, 24 carries, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Very impressive game by Arian Foster today. And the Texans. The Texans, they ended up going on. They ended up winning their first playoff game in team history. They're going to go to Baltimore. Alright, so the next game that was on the playoff slate was Detroit. And they're going to New Orleans to face the Saints. Detroit, their first playoffs game in a dozen years. Back in 98 was the last time they made it to the playoffs. They hadn't won the playoff game since 91, I believe. So, it's really good to see the Detroit Lions back in the postseason. They're going to go against the New Orleans Saints, who was the 3rd seed, and the NFC South winners. Alright, so at the beginning of the first quarter, Detroit, they get on the board first. They end up scoring with the Will Heller 10-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford. And in the first quarter, it's Detroit up 7-0. But merely into the beginning part of the second quarter, Darren Sproles of the Saints capitalized on a 2-yard run for a touchdown. there it is, tied up 7-7. But a few more minutes later, Calvin Johnson, Megatron, goes in and catches 13-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford. Extra points up and is good, 14-7. You got the Detroit Lions up on the New Orleans Saints. And then like in the later part of the the first half, looked like New Orleans was about to score. They actually was considered a touchdown with Colston. Colston had came up for a touchdown, but he ended up losing possession as he went to the ground. It's waved off, and they were shut down. So therefore, the Saints had to settle for a field goal as time expired in the second quarter, as it is. So your first half score was 14-10. Detroit up atop over the New Orleans Saints. So we were looking at a pretty good game at that point. But the second half turned into the New Orleans Saints time. Beginning part, Devery Henderson catches a 41-yard strike from Drew Brees for a touchdown. And then towards the ending part of the third quarter, it's Jimmy Graham, the big old tall tight end, catching a 3-yard strike from Drew Brees for a touchdown. At that point, it was 24-14. The Saints up on top. Add in a 1-yard run from Stafford, though, as they were down in the red zone, which was a score. So your third quarter score, though, was 24-21. Detroit, they're not going to give up yet. They're not going to give up so easily. But, of course, you know how the Saints are this year. They're very explosive on offense, and they do have a good defense, too. And that's when you prove, you see who is the better team. The fourth quarter, that's when New Orleans really became to life then. Darren Sproles, the little man, scoring on a 17-yard run for a touchdown. It's 31-21, New Orleans up. And then a few more minutes later, Robert Meacham catches a long touchdown pass from Drew Brees, which is 56 yards, 38-21. Seeing that Detroit was starting to fade. All the greatness from the season that Detroit's had is starting to fade, and knowing that their time was ticking. They did get another touchdown pass. The Detroit Lions did, from Matthew Stafford to Calvin Johnson, which was 12 yards worth. But it was just becoming not so well at the end for the Lions. The last score of the game was the Saints scoring on a 1-yard run. My fault. A 1-yard run for a touchdown from Pierre Thomas, and that was with like 3 minutes left in the game. So the final score of the game is New Orleans winning 45-28. New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be going to St. Louis, not St. Louis, but San Francisco, if I am not mistaken. So yeah, 45-28, New Orleans, they win, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be going to San Francisco next week to play in the divisional round. Alright, so Drew Brees, let's put it this way, the guy's a monster. He's been a monster all year. Completed 76% of his passes, threw for 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Stafford, except for 2 interceptions, which was at the later point of the game, Stafford did a really good, and also that pick 6. Stafford pretty good, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. All I gotta say is Detroit. You can say whatever you want about them. They did really well this year, and I'm very proud of them. I've been really expecting them to break through and actually make the playoffs since like 3 years ago. So I'm really glad to see them. And one thing I gotta say, Calvin Johnson is a monster. 12 receptions for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Calvin Johnson is a ridiculous athlete. I swear, if the guy's gonna end up making his own name for himself. I mean, he's gonna be the next great in the NFL. I mean, he's such young and athletic. I mean, who can guard him? That's what I'm saying. Even down to the Saints had problems guarding him, so I don't see anybody that could ever mess with him. But yeah, Detroit had a great season, and I'm really looking for them. They'll be back in the playoffs next year, I think, if they keep everyone. If everyone stays there and sticks together, yeah, we're going to be seeing them around. Alright, anyways, that's all I got for now. I'll have to be making another video tomorrow regarding on the playoffs. That's going to be happening tomorrow. That's all it is. New Orleans, they're advancing along with the Houston Texans. That's all I got to say now. Just leave your thoughts and opinions of today's games, and I will make a video tomorrow regarding this. Alright, that's the real deal, y'all. Hope you have a great night, great day, whatever you watch this video, and God bless you. That's all I got to say now. Peace out.